Hey everybody, welcome to Stay Creative. Wait, I keep forgetting we changed the channel name. It is Creative D&D, and today we are going to take on the daunting task of ranking every single The Walking Dead character on Tier Maker. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. Full mode, and I'm using Tier Maker. I'm using a list made by this guy here. This is a lot of characters. This is a lot of characters on here. I didn't check and see if like it's every single character who ever existed on Walking Dead because I probably don't remember them all, which is why I have a don't even remember tab here. So, oh crap! 1 second. I thought I changed those colors. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna there might be some trucks or something going by if you hear that, but we're going to rank every single character. We have S+, which of course the best of the best, S, A, B, C, D, F, and don't even remember. Hope there won't be too many of those. I have read some of the comics, but I've seen more of the show. In fact, I've seen all of the show, except for season 10, the one going on right now. It's had its ups and downs. Even the bad seasons I like. There's something about the show that I just really like. I'm a big fan of it. I've stopped and started watching it dozens of times, literally. Um, Pretty much every time a new season gets put on Netflix, I decide suddenly, oh, okay, I'll try that out again. So I am very familiar with it, except for the most recent season. So I'm going to be basing these rankings on what I've seen, their actual character, how much I like their character, how good they were on the show, their usefulness in the group, the things they did like that. Maybe they suck. Um, Well, let me make sure I'm recording real quick. I just got a sudden anxiety. Am I still recording? Yeah, I'm recording. All right. Their usefulness in the group, if they screwed things up, got people killed, that'll obviously lower them. How interesting they are, how funny they are, how long they were around, all of those things are going to contribute to their ranking here on this list. And then just some bias is going to be thrown in there, of course. So this is a lot of characters that we're going to go through. It may not look like a lot looking at it like this, but if you actually do a little math, then you see that it's a pretty good bit. And we're gonna cover it. If I get to the end and realize, wait a minute, this character wasn't on the list, well, I'll tell you where I'd put them. But I don't think it's in any particular order. But we're starting off with this guy whose name I forgot. All I remember is the actor's name, Tyler James Williams. I really liked him on the show. I hate that he wasn't around for longer. If he was around for longer, he easily would have been in the A tier. I really liked his character and his story and all the stuff going on with Beth in the hospital. And I hate that they killed him so quickly. Like, I even forget that he made it to Alexandria because of how quickly they killed him. They ended up killing him. But just because he wasn't around for much and didn't do much, but I did like him. I think I'm gonna put him in the C tier. I liked him a lot, which keeps him out of these tiers. But he just wasn't around for long at all. The whole hospital arc ended up being pointless because Beth died at the end of it, so okay, what was the point? But then we got this new character, but then he died like half of a season later. So it's like, well, that entire arc was completely pointless, as it turned out. So that keeps him in the C tier. But just how likable he was, I'm gonna put him up. Keep him out of the D and the F tier. So then we have this dog who I don't remember. Maybe that's Darrall's new dog in season 9. I think maybe that's what it's supposed to be. Uh, I don't know. It's a dog, so I'm gonna put it in the C tier because it's a dog. But it's funny that they're even on this list. I think that's what that dog is. I don't remember there ever being another dog on the show, but I might just be completely blanking. I apologize. So then we have one of the sisters who went crazy. One of the Look at the Flowers sisters, the one that was killed. I forget their names. There's so many characters. I'm sorry that I forget some names, but I do remember them. This character was killed. I'm gonna put her in the D tier. I think she was a fine character. Wasn't around for very long, just that prison art stuff. She was killed by her sister, which led to that great Look at the Flower scene where Carol had to kill her and blah blah blah. But she was only there really to be killed, so I can't. The child actor did a great job, but I can't justify putting it any higher than a D tier, especially when there's so many characters we're going to look at. So then we have a newer character. This is the I forget her name too. I'm so sorry, but this is the deaf character, who I really like a lot, and even though she hasn't been around for long, I'm gonna have to put her in the A tier. I think that her scenes where we get to see it from her perspective and it's deaf and you can't hear anything and what she has to go through is so freaking cool and such a great stylistic choice that made things really interesting. So I'm gonna put her in the A tier. I really liked her a lot, actually. Um, I guess she's still alive. I hope she's still alive, and she's one of the reasons that I can't wait for season 10 to be back on some kind of streaming service so I can watch it. I don't, I'm not hooked on the show enough to like bother to turn on my. I don't have cable. Well, maybe I do. I like things on streaming shows, and unfortunately, AMC doesn't have that. I think I can maybe watch it online, but it doesn't matter. And there's just so much content, but I will watch it again. But I do think she was really awesome, had some really great moments. Really interesting that they introduced a character like that. Like, that's a really creative choice that I'm glad they made. So I'm going to put her in the A tier. I really like her a lot. All right, then we have the wolf guy who Morgan saved, and he was in Alexandria, and I'm going to put him in the F tier. I hated that whole arc, to be honest. And in the end, I guess he saved uh, Denise, I guess, but like I think they tried to play that off as wow, he was redeemed, but like not really. I could honestly care so little about that character, so I'm gonna put him in the F tier. So then we have Morgan, and this one's a real hard one because I love Morgan. I think he's really interesting, but his character arc has been so all over the place. It's like they couldn't decide what to do with him. So he meets Rick first episode, incredible. Just that episode alone, S plus, right? But then comes back later, very interesting, still an interesting arc they got going there. Okay, he's crazy. That makes sense. I like that they did that story. Still like S plus tier. Then he comes back and he's refined. Really, really cool. That's great. I love his ninja stuff, right? But then it's like, oh, he doesn't kill anybody? Okay, interesting. But then it got really annoying and honestly just frustrating and got in the way of the show. And it made really annoying things happen. We're like, come on, Morgan. But I still think he was really cool. I love the whole staff warrior crap. But then he goes crazy again, but then this time like extra crazy, and he just starts killing everything, and then he runs away and goes to Fear the Walking Dead, which I have not watched Fear the Walking Dead. I just know he's on it. So it's like, what are you doing? Okay, cool, I guess. So that kind of makes him up and down. And I really liked when he came back once they were in Alexandria. But after a certain amount of time, it did just get kind of annoying. I did like all of his stuff with Eastman, and some people really hate that episode. I actually really enjoyed that episode a lot. So I don't really know where to put him. I think I'm going to put him in the B tier. I like Morgan a lot, but just all the most recent stuff with him is making him lower for me because of the annoyance that his character caused, um, the flippy floppiness of it all. It just didn't work for me. So I'm going to have to put him in the B tier just because of that. Then we have Carol, who, if I'm taking into account the first couple of seasons, F tier character, right? Who cared about Carol at all? But obviously, after all that stuff with the cannibals, S plus instantly. Just what an absolute badass. Became instantly one of my favorite characters. But then she got kind of annoying when they got to Alexandria and she found the kingdom and she was like staying away from them. And it's like, why don't you just talk to the Alexandrians? Like, what's the problem? Like, are you just forgetting that these people were so important to you? And especially like later in like season 9 after Rick leaves and everything, and you get that time jump in the future, and she's in the kingdom, right? She's the queen, blah blah blah, and she runs into Michonne and Maggie, and I get that it's supposed to be like, or Michonne and the Raiders of the Hilltop. I think Maggie had left at that point too, and I get it's supposed to be like, wow, look at how far they've fallen. They're not even really friends anymore. They're just like old family, but it's like, come on, like. I just watched 8 seasons of these people go through absolute hell together, and you're gonna like have them see each other and give each other kind of a hug and like refuse to work together because of BS. Like that really annoyed me. But Carol wasn't really the problem. Michonne was kind of the problem with that. Just because of her earlier season stuff, I think I'm gonna have to keep her out of the S plus and put her in the S tier. Everything she did, she became such an interesting character to see her character arc and growth, and have to deal with the death of her daughter. get past her horrible husband, and then eventually become this absolute literal queen of the kingdom there with Ezekiel. Her relationship with Darrall is some of the best stuff in the whole show. I really like her a lot. I'm gonna put her in the S plus. I'm gonna put her in the S tier. But her earlier season stuff keeps her in the S plus, and her more recent stuff kind of keeps her out of the S plus for me also. I'm not a bit, but I think I've heard in season 10 she's back to being that absolute gangster. So maybe if I watch that, I'd put her back in the S plus. But I'll keep her in the S tier for now. All right, then we have this chick to look at the flowers girl. I'm gonna put her in the D tier as well. It was a really good arc, but these two were kind of just plot devices. The actors did great, but they weren't around for long, and I can't even remember their names. So I'm going to put them in the D tier, but that was a great real arc. But as characters themselves, just some D tier characters. All right, then we have this guy. I think his name was Syed. I think I don't remember exactly. He's the one that Carl saved, got bit. Really interesting character. I actually really like him a lot. I'm gonna put him in the B tier right next to Morgan. He hasn't been around for very long, but a good amount of seasons at this point, probably like 3 seasons at this point. And I thought he was just going to be like a one-off character, but he stuck around and played a pretty significant role in the past couple of seasons, making him really interesting, and I like that a lot. He had a relationship with Rosita, which I thought was cool. I think he contributes a lot. He's a doctor, so he contributes a lot to the group, making him really cool that he brought around. I liked him a lot. I liked everything that happened with Carl, and it made me not even hate Carl. Okay, I hated Carl's death, but maybe I hated a little less that we got this guy. I thought he was really interesting. Was never annoying. Never did anything like frustrating. Just an all-around cool guy that I was happy to see in the show. Very useful. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Then we have the doctor from the Hilltop. Didn't do much at all. Had that really fun scene with Gabriel. Trying to escape, get back, help Maggie and everything like that. I'm gonna put him, probably this in the D tier, just because he wasn't around for long, didn't do a whole lot, just was the doctor, more of a plot device than a character himself. So I'll put him in the D tier, but he was fine. Then we have Jesus, one of my favorite characters coming out of the Hilltop. I'm gonna put him in the S tier, right next to Carol, right off the bat. I really enjoy everything he did with his character. So much fun. His introduction was great. Kind of annoying because it's kind of like, okay, why don't you guys just talk to each other for 5 seconds and it'd be fine? But he played a huge part introducing the Alexandrians to the Hilltop, to the kingdom, expanding that whole world. I love his combat. Everything about the way he looks is really awesome. His death was heartbreaking. Like, I hated his death, but in a good way. I was like, God dang it, he died. Like, the Whisperers got him. Whisper arc has been pretty great, and him unfortunately being a fatality of that sucked. I loved his role at the Hilltop, being kind of like he's the guy who's in charge, but he's not technically in charge, but like he's really the one in charge. I thought that made for a really cool, interesting character. I love Jesus a lot, and I was sad to see him go, but definitely an S tier character there. All right, then we have Edith, I think. I think that's her name. Something with an E. Eden. Is it Eden or Edith? I don't know. Maybe it's Eden. I don't really know what to do with her. Because I don't hate her as much as a lot of people do, but she is kind of annoying at some points, but then it's fine at other points. I really don't know what to do with her, so I think I'm going to put her in the C tier. Right there. I think she was fine. I can't remember much of what she's done that really impacted anything. Helped Glenn get back to Alexandria. That was good. Had a whole relationship with Carl. Now with that Aiden guy, I think, who I do like too. But I can't remember much of what else she's done. She helped Maggie a lot. Was there for Maggie, but like helped by kind of just hanging out. I don't know what she actually did that contributed to anything. I don't know. C tier. Then we have this guy, who I recognize the face, but I'm not sure what he did. I think he is a kingdom warrior. I think he's a warrior from the kingdom. But I don't remember anything about what he's done. I just know that he's been there sometimes. So to be there, there's a lot of soldier characters who are quote unquote characters, but they're kind of just like soldiers in the big wars and stuff like that. Some of them put him in the D tier. Or maybe he's from the Hilltop. It's from the Hilltop or the Kingdom, I think. Maybe he's an Alexandrian. I don't know. One of those people. I don't remember anything of what he's done. All right, then we have this guy down here, the guy who was working with the kingdom through the saviors. That guy, I thought he was actually really interesting and kind of funny and fun to see on screen. I actually enjoyed his parts on screen. I loved actually seeing the hierarchy of how Negan's whole thing worked with him and Trevor from GTA 5 and Negan, their whole relationships and stuff, and the different ways they viewed things. Like he was all like, "I don't want to kill anybody. I'm just doing the job." I thought that was actually kind of fun, kind of funny to see. But also, he is just a complete jackass, right? So, I guess I'll put him. I guess I gotta put him in the D tier right there, because he was just some jackass in Negan's group. But I did think he was a lot of fun to see on screen, so I'll put him at the top of D tier. But I can't justify putting him any higher, especially when there's so many more characters to get through. Maybe I'll go back and rearrange that. I'm not entirely sure. So then we have, I feel like I hear noises where I'm at. I'm sure it's nothing. So then we have the main of the show, Rick Grimes. There's no secret where I'm going to put him. S plus. He's been the linchpin of the entire show, the one consistently amazing character that never did anything that was like, I don't even want to watch you on screen. Such a great character. Rick Grimes is one of my favorite protagonists in all of TV. From the very first episode till the point where he left, and then he's going to get those movies. I think he's been excellent. Andrew Lincoln has done an excellent job portraying him. He's been the main character of the show. The show was built on Rick's back, and I think they've done a good job transitioning it to the other characters, mainly Darrall. But I mean, there's no question about it. The main character of the show is Rick, and that was not a mistake. His whole emotional journey, finding just from the very first seasons, like don't forget, it's been a long time now, like a decade since that first show first started. But don't forget those first seasons of excellent television, of Rick having to find his family. I recently watched the scene where he found his family for the first time, like after they got back from Atlanta, and I actually like started crying. Like it's that good. Um, Everything he goes through, him just starting with this, like he is like a great guy, but sort of getting tougher, stronger, becoming this great leader, and and all the things that he goes through. The roller coaster of his character is actually interesting because it's sometimes he's really hopeful and sometimes it's really dark and edgy, and it's like I get kind of annoying towards his end whenever it was like he got kind of preachy about it, and it was kind of annoying, but not too bad because it is Rick Grimes, so it's okay. But other than that, what an excellent TV protagonist. One of the best in television history, without a doubt. Rick Grimes, S plus tier. The whole show is built on his back. Then we have Dwight. That's his name, right? Dwight? I think. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to put him in the B tier, maybe. No, let me put him back here. Let me think for a sec. So you first meet him, you're running the Darrall. Then he screws over Darrall and leaves. Oh, screw that guy, F tier, right? But then he comes back, he's part of the Saviors. Okay, interesting. What's going on here? And then he ends up helping the Alexandrians, which I did find very interesting. All of that arc where he was this traitor and what's going to happen to him with Negan, and I actually did care about him, and I think he had a really good redemption arc. I actually do think he had a good redemption arc. I think he shows up in Fear the Walking Dead. I've heard that. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Like I said, I don't watch that show. But his redemption arc is actually pretty good, so I think I'm going to put him in the B tier. I actually ended up liking him a pretty good bit and was excited to see what would happen with his character. So definitely a B tier character. Then we have Dale. Oh my god. One of my absolute favorite characters in the first two seasons of the show. His death is still heartbreaking. It sucks that he had to go. Wish he could have stayed around longer, but I guess everybody dies in this show, huh? The only question is, how high do I put him? Because he wasn't around for long, but he did make such an impact on the show with everybody's lives. Like up until the end, up until the very end of Glenn. Glenn was still talking about Dale. right? So he did make such a huge impact on these people. I think I'm gonna put him in the A tier. I really liked him a lot. Did a lot for the group when he was there. Was the emotional center of it, the moral compass. I loved his hats, his funny fishing hats, and oh, it was his RV. Uh, a really great character. I really like Dale a lot. I miss him a lot. I miss Dale, so definitely an A tier. And then we have one of the new characters, whose names I don't remember. This one I don't think I like a whole lot, so I'm gonna put her in the C tier. I just don't remember liking her enough, and I don't remember anything about her. I remember who she is though, so C tier. No, I don't. D tier. I don't give a crap about her. I'm moving this guy up to B tier. I just can't stand him being in the C tier. What's he doing in the C tier? B tier. Rosita, introduced with Abraham, all that stuff. At first, kind of was a nothing character, but now she's actually stepped up and done a lot. I think she's still alive, right? Yeah, she is. So she's pregnant, right? She's still alive. Or did she die? In the comic book, she dies from the Whispers. I'm getting it confused if she's that or not. I'm gonna put her in the. I think probably the top of C tier, because. Well, let me think. I'm not personally a fan. I never really cared much about her character, but I think she was a fine character. But I never like really got invested in her, so I'm gonna put her in the C tier. I'm just not a huge fan. She's doing a lot more as the season's going. I think she is interesting. She was with Abraham, and then like having to adapt with that, him leaving her, and finding her purpose again um, after realizing that Eugene was lying. So I think that's been. Oh my god. Somebody like tackling somebody next door, Jesus. Um, so I'm gonna put her in the C tier. I don't really care. Holy crap. Okay. Then we have Merle. Hmm. I just don't know what to do with Merle. I really don't. Um, I'm coughing. That's not good. I think Merle's a really great character, and so I'm gonna drop him in the B tier. Obviously, like screw him, right? But he actually did in the end end up kind of redeeming himself, trying to take down the governor. I think his reintroduction in season 3 was excellently handled. All that stuff going on there was really great. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I think Michael Rooker's an incredible actor, and I think that this character was really, really incredible. Obviously, a complete bastard, but with a really good redemption in the end, honestly. And a character that. Jesus. Okay, sorry about that. Had a bit of an interruption. Crazy stuff going on. You know, the world's all gone crazy, but let's pick right up where we left off. I don't remember the most recent guy that I ranked, but this guy. I don't remember. Sam? I think his name was Sam. It's obvious he's going in the F tier. Little annoying kid. I don't mind annoying kids like what he was, the kid who's naive and doesn't understand it. I don't mind that as long as he changes it and fixes it. And like a parent's there to be like, hey, don't do that, you know? That never happened with Sam. He just sucked and then died. So I think that F tier is the best place for him. Oh my god, Sam. Not my least favorite character. We'll get to those in a minute, but Sam, of course. Now this person, I think, I think that's Dwight's wife. Right? That's his name, right? Dwight. Did I already rank him? I feel like, yeah, I did. I think that's his wife. I think that's who that is. I don't remember though. So I'm gonna drop it in the D tier because I don't remember exactly who that is. And if it is his wife, D tier is still the fine place to go. And then there's this chick, whose name I don't remember. She's part of that new group with her and I mean, I'll just put her in the D tier. I mean, I just don't. These new guys I never just latched onto. Then we have Jerry. Jerry's solid. He didn't do much, he's just a fun, lovable side character. So I'm gonna drop him in the B tier right there. I wish I could put him higher. He's one of my favorites to see. I love him very much, but it doesn't have that big of an impact on the show, so I can't put him any higher than B. But B is a great spot for him. Tara, I don't hate Tara as much as a lot of other people really hate Tara apparently, but I still don't like her a whole lot. Obviously, that episode that centered on her in Oceanside is one of the worst in the entire series. Period. So I think I'm gonna drop her in the C tier. I don't think she's that bad. I kind of wish they would talk more about the fact that she showed up with the governor. Like, that part's really interesting, but they just never address the past. That's one of my problems with the more recent seasons of Walking Dead is I wish these characters would talk about their past and reference where they came from and all those things that happened to make them feel, because it feels like it's not important at all when it was a big deal. But C, I don't hate her as much as other people, so she's gonna go in the C tier. But I could understand putting her in the D tier or even the F tier if someone did. We'll go C tier though. This guy, really like him, really cool. Don't remember his name. Uh, it's probably a problem when I don't remember their names. But he showed up. He was one of the saviors. Then he became fully integrated into the hilltop and dating Edith. And I do like him a lot. Actually, he's really cool. I kind of like him a lot. So I think I'm gonna put him at the top of C tier. Uh, I'll put him next to Edith. Edith? That's her name. Is it Eden? Edith. I think it's Edith. I'll put him right next to his girlfriend. I love his reaction when she died. I mean, I kind of didn't like them together because I don't know. He's cool. I like him. No need to stay too long on him. Herschel. Still probably the most heartbreaking death of the entire show was Herschel's. Of course, in season 2, he was likable, but he was, on that whole kick about walkers or people, but he snapped out of that quicker than I thought he would have. And he completely goes back on it and redeems himself completely for it by fully understanding, snapping out of that stupid stuff and fully understanding that he was wrong and he's ready to go to adapt to the new life in the new world, and becoming a huge mentor for Rick. Huge influence on the show. His influence is still felt by every single character. Glenn was talking about him up till Glenn died, I think I'm going to put Herschel in the S tier. I know S plus would be great for him if he was around for longer, because he was only around from beginning of season 2 to the middle of season 4. So I mean that's a solid season of season 3, and that was really great. But if he was around, but it's been 9 seasons now, 10 seasons actually. So if he was around for longer, I'd put him up higher. But based on that, I'll have to keep him in the S tier. No, S plus. His impact is still felt. I mean, in season 2, he was like, "Oh man, that sucks," but he instantly snapped out of it once it was proven that his way of life was wrong, and from there forward did everything right. He contributed so much to the group. He always provided something to them, and I really like him a lot. I love Herschel, so S plus. He is one of the most important characters in the entire show. This freaking guy, F tier. Most of the Alexandrians around that time, I just can't stand. He was the son of the leader of the Alexandria before Rick showed up, and I didn't mind him at first, but then he tried to betray Rick to Negan and got himself killed and screwed that guy. I don't even need to talk about him anymore. Glenn is my absolute favorite character in the entire show. Does he belong in S plus though? That's debatable, maybe. From the very first show, he was the most relatable, most likable character from the very first episode all the way up to his death, which is still right up there with Herschel, one of the most heartbreaking deaths. And I'm I don't know how I feel about them killing him off because he was so liked, and it probably was a mistake killing him off, but it did have the impact they were looking for. Let's not talk about that though. Let's talk about how much he contributed to the group. He saved Rick from the tank very first episode, and he from there forth just was always there for the group, for Maggie. Always was the first one to step up to trouble, to danger. Just the absolute peak of character in the show, and what this the best part of the whole show for a long time was probably Glenn. Uh, did so much for everybody. Never a useless member, and that's what makes an S plus character in my mind. Never useless, and always contributing to the show, always doing a line, being a likable, relatable, interesting character. Glenn's gonna go in the S plus tier. One of my favorites. I'm putting him above Herschel probably because he was around for long. He was around for since the very beginning, around for so long, and I was really sad when they killed him, and but it was a really impactful death. His relationship with Maggie's the best relationship in the entire show. Obviously, that's not debatable at all. That was the best romance in the whole show. I really liked watching him go from being shy and kind of nerdy and like I wouldn't say timid, but kind of dorky to really growing up and becoming a great man with the help of Herschel and Rick is and becoming a real equal with Rick. Rick was always in charge, but by the end of season 3, Rick was understanding that Glenn and Darrall and everyone like that, they're all brothers, and Glenn's one of my absolute favorites. Andrea. This is a tough one because I've been rewatching those first 3 seasons recently. And the first time I watched it, I hated Andrea. Second time I watched it, I was like, oh, I like her a little better. And then this time I'm watching it again, and I'm realizing I hate Andrea. In the comic book, she's one of the coolest characters, right? No doubt. But in the show, they completely ruined her. I cannot think of one single useful thing she does the entire time she was alive. I think, nope, no, nothing. She killed some walkers for some people, but no, never did anything useful the entire show. Her arc is screw up, 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 die. She never did anything useful. Always messed things up for everybody. Was just stupid and naive when it came to the governor. That's the part of that season that really bugs me is how stupid Andrea is. I have a real hatred for her because I just hate this character so much in this show. Never did anything right. Wanted to kill herself and then Dale saved her and then she was mad at Dale for so long, which was just annoying. Back in season 2 that was this got to this point where she was like a self-righteous yeah, that's right. I'm strong, but you never were. She sucked. I hated her. Every time she opened, I skipped all of it. Oh my god. Bottom of F tier. Andrea's the worst character on the show, period. Worst main character on the show, period. Never did anything right. And then she died. And then Rick's like, you're one of us when she's dying. And it's like, no, she's not. She completely betrayed y'all. She tried to go back to the prison eventually, but from the very start, and it just breaks my heart that she like did not give a crap. What a horrible person. She's a bad person. Screw Andrea. Then we have the leader of the cannibals here. I think his name is Gareth or something like that. Um, Wasn't around for very long, only a couple episodes, but I do think he was a pretty good villain. I'll put him at the top of C tier. Wasn't around for long. Loved Rick murdering him. It was so great to watch them just like, you don't know who you're messing with. Like, yeah, that's right. So his death scene, you know what? His death scene is so good that I'm gonna put him in the B tier because I loved watching Rick absolutely mutilate him. So I'm gonna drop him in the B tier. Great villain, wasn't around for long though, but did a really good part of just being this like complete jackass cannibal for Rick to kill. And I really liked all that stuff. Three of the best consecutive episodes in the whole show. Like that little three episode arc, all revolving around him and the cannibals, was really really great. This guy, I think this guy was one of the saviors that was locked up in the hilltop. I think that's who it was, right? Or maybe he was one of the ones. I think because I vaguely remember him like being around after the war was over and like trying to work on the bridge and whatever, not getting along. I'm gonna drop him in the F tier. I mean, I don't even know what more to say about him. Shane. Oh, this one's difficult. I've been thinking about this one for a bit because this is one of those, you hate him so much, but he's still a great character. And it's hard to know where to rank him. Only around for 2 seasons, but he completely held those first 2 seasons on his back. Jon Bernthal is one of my favorite actors. This is one of his first big roles. Completely held that show on his back. Shane's one of the best characters in the entire show ever. His interesting downfall from sanity and everything he had to deal with. The most compelling people to watch on screen. He was unpredictable, but not in an annoying way. You could tell he did still have redeeming qualities, even though he was going crazy, and he just wasn't. He was cut out for the world they were living in, but not to be in that group of those people and all this stuff that happened with Lori and Rick and everything. And I do like his redeeming qualities. Like he really did think Rick was dead, and he tried to save Rick at the beginning of the apocalypse. Like he was a good guy. They were good friends. He was a good friend to Rick, and he thought Rick was dead, so he wanted to take care of Lori and Carl. What's so wrong with that? If you I don't see. When he came back, though, he should have backed off, obviously, and that's where he began to go crazy, though. I think he was always jealous of Rick. I think the insanity of the world around him drew him mad. When he killed Otis, that was just like, there he goes. He's breaking, because he didn't have to kill Otis. I think that's a criticism. Like, you don't have to kill Otis. There's plenty of room. You could have made it, but I think that's on purpose because it's supposed to show that Shane did not have to kill Otis, but he did it because I think he wanted to kill. Because I think that was probably the first person that he killed. I don't remember Shane killing anybody before that. It was probably the first person he killed. I think he wanted to kill, and this was a good excuse for him. And he was like trying to get back to Carl, and he was worried about that. He wanted to make absolutely sure. He was a great character, a great rival to Rick, still one of the best rivalries in the show. I'm really having trouble debating where to put him, if it's S or S. I think I'm gonna put him at the top of S because he was only around for 2 seasons, but he made such a huge impact just in those 2 seasons that he's got to go in the S tier. I mean, he's in reality he's probably Judah's father, which I think is such a cool thing that I don't want to forget about the fact that Shane lives on, probably in Judith. That's probably his daughter. That's not for sure. I mean, Rick even said like, I know it's his, but like, it still could be Rick's. There really is no way to know. So, such an impact on the show. I love Shane, one of my favorite characters, but by the end, he needed to die, and it's kind of heartbreaking that he needed to die. That it was done so well. Denise, I actually liked her. I liked her a lot. Well, she was around, and then they killed her off, and I hated that they killed her off. It's like, oh, thanks. Sometimes I'm gonna put her in the C tier because she was fine, but she was around for like half a season, maybe. That was one of those examples of Walking Dead just kills off characters to kill them off, and it doesn't work. And that was with her death. It's like, oh, great, we liked her, and now she's dead. Thanks, appreciate it. Okay, like, what the hell is that? So I'm putting her in the C tier. Just wasn't around. If she was around for longer, I could have put her higher, probably. I did like her. Negan, this is a tough one also, because is he a great villain? It's back and forth, because, his introduction, of course he's a great villain. He's the most terrifying freaking person, killing Abraham, killing Glenn. But then he spent the next 2 seasons being pretty stupid. The only reason he didn't kill Rick is because the show needed Rick not to die. And so Negan himself would make up these BS reasons, like, oh, well, I need to teach them a lesson. Like, just stupid stuff. He just made dumb decisions for 2 seasons, constantly giving Rick second chances, which is just bad writing. Because what they should have done is not have Rick screw up so much and get caught so much that puts Negan in a position to have to give him a second chance, but then for him not to give him a second chance, for him to give him a second chance, so the show continue, because it makes him look bad, it makes Rick look bad, it makes everybody look bad. Just bad writing. But I do think the performance is great, and he is a great character. Still terrifying, but now he's just a really interesting character. You really don't know where his loyalties lie, what he's going to do, what he's not going to do. Great performance by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I do love Negan a lot. I do like every time he's on screen, I'm entertained. I'm gonna put him at the top of A tier because he could be S plus because I was that good of a villain from his introduction. But then it just went downhill from there. Him making dumb decisions, until he lost. So I'm going to keep him at the S plus. But I do like Negan a lot. So Ed, I think he was around for like 2 episodes maybe, and then he died, got eaten alive by walkers, beat his wife a little bit. It's implied later that he molested his daughter because Carol says like that Carol mentioned something like that. Just what an absolute shitbag. Freaking F tier. Like, screw this guy, right? Beat his wife, then died. I love one of my favorite Shane moments when Shane just beats the hell out of him. I loved that. That was so much fun. I love watching that scene. Like, yeah, this is a new world, dude. There is no rule. I'm not gonna get arrested for it. You beat your wife, I'm gonna beat the frick out of you. And what are you gonna do about it? Nothing. Great. I don't. I know it's with that new group, so I'm just gonna drop him right there and just move on. I don't need to talk about it more. Martinez, Governor's Lackey, D tier, I guess. Not a bad character. Like, F tier is not just characters that I hated. F tier is like, these are bad characters. I'll bottom a D tier. I have nothing to say about him. Eastman, this one's a bit controversial as well because a lot of people hate that episode with him and Morgan. I actually really like it. I really liked Eastman a lot. I thought he was a really cool character. But he did set up Morgan for that whole no-kill thing and being that whole dumb arc. So I think I'm going to put him at the top of C tier. Only around for an episode, but I did like him a lot. I liked that episode a lot. A lot of people didn't, but I liked it. Beta, great villain. I love his little rivalry with Darrall, and that's a great fight in that season. That's one of the best. I think Beta and Alpha were big parts of elevating season 9 back up to a prominent point and actually being a good show. I like Beta. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I mean, I don't like him. But I think he's good as a villain. Now I think that this is Amy, Andrea's sister from like the first 2 episodes of the show, and she did nothing. She was just Andrea's sister, then she died. So I'll put her right next to Andrea in the F tier. Moving on. Judith, I like her a lot. I really do. I think I'm gonna put Judith up here in the A tier. Great little child actor. I like that she's wearing the hat, carrying on the legacy of both Rick, Carl, and Shane in a way, and Lori. You know, all those characters that have been lost to the show live on in this one character in a really good way. I love Michonne. And when you realize Michonne and Judith's relationship, how it grows, when you really think about it, like the first time she met Judith was back in the prison, and I remember the scene where Bev tries to hand her to her, and she's like, "No, please don't," because Michonne had a child of her own, and you realize, oh yeah, and little did you know they become like mother and daughter. Uh, I like Judith a lot. I hope she sticks around for a while. I'm sure. Please don't kill another freaking kid. Please don't. Please don't kill Judith. Although I did like watching this kid die. All right, Trevor from GTA 5. One of Negan's lackeys. I did like him. I thought he was really funny. I thought, unlike Negan, he didn't make as many mistakes, except for the mistake where he got caught and got killed by Negan. But in a way, he's sort of like what Negan could have been if Negan wasn't retarded sometimes. Oh, I'm so sorry for saying that word. Please forgive me. But you know what I mean. Like, he was the guy who was like, Negan, this is stupid. Why are you giving him a second chance? Just kill him. I really liked him being on screen a lot, actually. I'm going to put him at the bottom of B tier here. I think he was pretty great. I think he was a pretty great villain. Sorry. Okay, this kid. Let me answer this text real quick. Sorry. Oh, wait, where'd he go? Come back. Alright, so this kid, Sam's brother, um, screw this kid as well. Drop him in the F tier. His dad beat his mom and him, and then his dad is killed, and then he tries to kill Carl because Carl's dad, just stupid stuff. And I do love the moment where Carl's like, "Hey, your dad was like a douche, so sorry," but that didn't matter. He tried to kill Carl later in the end, and then he got killed. Got what he deserved. Screw that kid. Frick him. Henry, oh my god. I think it was such a huge mistake killing Henry off, honestly. He was around for one season, and I really liked him. He was pretty good. Not annoying. Kind of became Carol and Ezekiel's son. And I hated his death. It's like, what's the point? That sucks. I hated his death so much. But that's because I liked him a lot. So I'm going to put him in the A tier right next to Judith up there. Gabriel. Gabriel's been a really interesting character up and down because, when he first introduced, F tier, right? Bumbling idiot, bad person. But he slowly started to prove himself to Rick and to everybody, to the viewers, and slowly became a useful, formidable member of the team and of the group, and going through some really interesting stuff and becoming this badass priest. One of the best moments when he's shooting saviors and he's reciting Bible verses. Like, I love that. And honestly, a really great character. A lot of people don't like him. I like him a lot now. I like his growth a lot. I love everything that's been going on with him. I think he's really interesting, really cool. He all the way to being the leader of Alexandria. Like, that's where he got. Like, that's his arc, and it's been a really well handled arc that has been some really interesting character growth and made a really cool, badass character. One of my favorites. I almost want to put him in the S tier. I really like him a lot, but I'm gonna drop him in the A tier. I think just being such a bumbling idiot at the beginning is gonna keep him out of the S tier. But I like Gabriel a lot. This is the chick from Oceanside, bottom of D tier. I'm gonna start zooming through the ones that I have nothing to say about and truly understand that I just have nothing to say about them. Maggie. Okay, so actually, I like Maggie. Like I said, her relationship with Glenn, one of the best in the entire show. I think she was always useful and beneficial to the group. I didn't like her in this more the more recent seasons with her like problems with Rick and whatever, and that kind of always bothered me. But I do like her a lot. I'm gonna put at the top of A tier. I don't think she quite cracks into the S tier, but great performance, great character. This guy, I liked him. I'll put him in the C tier above these three people I don't care about. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm probably being unfair. I think these are all fine characters. I'll put her in the C tier as well. I'll leave those two in the D tier, but he's fine. In that new group, this is the one who gets the B up here in the A tier from that group because she's the deaf superhero, so freaking awesome. But he's fine. He's likable. This guy, one of the cannibals, screwed that guy. I wish Tyrese would have just killed him. Tyrese not killing him got Bob killed, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, screw that guy, F tier. The governor. I wish people remembered the governor a bit more, and that's why I was saying earlier. But I wish people talked about these things they went through together, because the governor was the first real villain they ever faced. That was like another person. The first real formidable foe to Rick. And I think that's some of the best of the entire show. His rivalry with Rick is one of the best. Governor's really cool, and I wish we remembered him and talked about him more. Made a huge impact on the show while he was around. Killed Herschel. I'm gonna put him at the top of A tier. I don't think he quite cracks into S tier, but I'm gonna put him at the top of A. I almost want to take Carol out of the S tier, and I'll leave her in because her growth has been really interesting. Governor was a great character. He's going in the S tier. Sophia was just a walking plot device, Her death was one of the more impactful moments of the show, especially early on. So I'll put her right here in the C tier, but she was around and then she died. Just a plot device. Carol's daughter, all that. So I'll leave her there. Lori. I've been thinking about this one a good bit because a lot of people hate Lori. I mean, hate Lori. And I don't hate her as much as them, but I do. I hated her in season 2. She was putting Rick and Shane at odds and against each other. I'm not angry at her for, being with Shane after she thought her husband was dead. It is what it is. Because the second that Rick came back, she was like, screw you, Shane, and done with him, But in season 3, in season 2, she was horrible. But in season 3, I think she actually redeemed herself, and her death ended up being a really impactful death, a really great death, one of the best episodes of the entire show, giving birth to Judith. So, honestly, I think I'm going to put her in the B tier. I don't hate her as much as other people do. I'll just drop her somewhere in the middle of B tier. I really don't hate her as much. She is kind of annoying, but only sometimes. And overall, I think she was fine. I especially liked her in season 3. And I kind of felt bad for her in season 3 when Rick was not even talking to her anymore, I felt bad for her. So I'm going to drop her in the B tier. Michonne went from just a random introduction character in season 3 to one of the protagonists in the entire show. I mean, after Rick left the show, after Andrew Lincoln left the show, it fell on her and Darrall's back, and now she's left the show going after to find Rick. So hopefully they'll go ahead. But I haven't heard any more news about those Walking Dead movies. I hope they actually happen, and I hope that Michonne shows up in them. I mean, this actress is a movie star now. She was in Black Panther and Infinity War. Big deal. And Endgame. So put them in the movies. I think it would definitely work out. I'd love to see that show. But Michonne is a great character. You see her and she's like, oh, she's going to be the badass silent samurai, right? But then she actually starts talking, and she's a really interesting, broken, hurt character who is dealing with it in her own unique ways. She builds relationships with these characters that make them family. Her relationship with Rick is great. She opens up. She becomes loving. She's funny. She's charismatic. But also she's still just an absolute gangster. I love Michonne. There's never been a part of the show where I didn't like Michonne, except for the recent season where she was all like, Alexandria. But then you kind of understand why she was like that. Whenever she wouldn't let Alexandria go to the fair or whatever. I'm gonna drop her in the S+. because that's the only time I didn't love her. Great character, Michonne. I think this girl's name is Lydia. She's the daughter of Alpha. I don't dislike her. I think she's fine. I'm just gonna put her in C tier. This guy. So this guy, I forget his name. Sorry, but he was part of the show from the very first, like in the first 3 episodes. He was one of the main people of the group. Like, got a lot of screen time, and then he just left. Him and his family left, and it's like, wow, okay, interesting. You kind of just forget about him completely, right? But then he shows back up out of nowhere, and as one of the saviors, and it's like, wow, what happened to you, dude? And I thought that was really great. Darrall shoots him, so I thought that was interesting. But I mean, D tier, because he was in like a total of 4 episodes. But I liked what they did with him, bringing him back like that. This chick, Dawn? Her name's Dawn, right? Like the soap? This is easily the worst villain in the entire show. One of the worst arcs. I didn't mind the hospital arc because it's, okay, well, Beth died, gave her a good send-off, and, well, not a good send-off, but a send-off, and we have Everybody Hates Chris now. Great. But then they kill off Everybody Hates Chris like a season later. So it's like, oh, so what was the entire point of the hospital arc? Nothing. Nothing ended up mattering in the hospital arc. I mean, I do like the episodes where they actually go to get Beth. I hate the episodes that focus on Beth, but I hate them because of Dawn, not because of Beth. A stupid character, an annoying character, one of the worst, bottom of F tier. I want to put Andrea even lower, but no, I'm going to put Dawn. Dawn, the worst villain in the entire show. Shiva? Is that the tiger's name? Shiva? I don't know. It's Ezekiel's tiger. Great. Love it. I'm going to put it the A tier. I mean, I can't put a tiger in the S tier, but A tier. Heath. I liked Heath. And he just left one day, disappeared. Like, oh, okay. So that's going to keep him in the D tier. I'll put him bottom of C tier because I liked him when he was around a lot, but then he just left one day. Like, well, he got separated from Tara, and we never heard from him again. I'm sure they had plans to bring him back, and they just never did. But he was fine, so C tier. Jessie. I actually liked her a lot while she was around, and I hated her death, and that bothered me a lot, but I have nothing to say about her. C tier. This is one of the Kingdom. This is the cool archer lady from the Kingdom. I'll put her at the top of C tier, because I think she is cool, but she's not really a character, right? But she does cool archery stuff in the Kingdom, so C tier. Darrall. Darrall's been around from the very beginning. Has always been such an interesting character to get to know. You know, he had that relationship with his brother, and you might think he's like his brother, but he's really not. And is one of the most, like, on the inside, like one of the most interesting because he's like so tough on the outside, but like, so, it's a cliche, like tough on the outside, caring on the inside, but he was never really hidden about that. Like during the search for Sophia, he was all about finding Sophia, the most determined of anybody. So that's early in the show, right? And then the relationship that he grew with everybody in the group felt so natural and real and emotional, and his relationship with Rick was great, and became like real brothers, and everything he did was so awesome. He's always been one of the most contributing members of the group, always there to do something good and make a big difference in a very good way. Darrall, Norman Reedus' performance is great. He's pretty much the protagonist of the show now. S plus tier right next to Michonne. Always been around, always doing good. Relationship with Merle was so interesting. One of the best characters in the show, of course. And invented for the show, not even in the books. Fun little fact. This guy, this was Aaron's husband. I think his name was Eric. Fine, was around and kind of died. I like Aaron a lot though. But alright, this guy, what's his name, Victor or something like that? He was one of the prisoners in the group that was at the prison when they found him. Had a really he died pretty soon afterwards, but while he was around, I actually liked him a lot. So I'm gonna put him in the C tier, but if he was around for longer, I'd put him in the B tier. I think he was pretty cool. I really liked his character, and I hated when they killed him so quickly during their raid on Woodbury. I loved what they did with that. Of him and Axel were left in the prison, and they're just prisoners, and they're not like the other guys, and man, they just want to survive, and they're not gonna beg Rick for it. I thought he was really interesting like that, and was ready to become a contributing member of the group, and did, and it sucks that he had to die. Diana, something like that. Leader of Alexandria when they first get there, is resistant to Rick's ways, but pretty quickly gives into them and like starts helping and really redeems herself and becomes a really good leader for Alexandria, putting it in the hands of Rick and fully understanding that Rick is the guy that needs to be in charge. So I like her a lot. So we're gonna put her in the B tier. Who's this guy? I think this guy was one of the saviors. And I think like during the whole bridge thing, whenever after the war and they're building that bridge, I feel like he was like what the main guy of that, right? I think that's who that is. Top of F tier. If that's who that is, top of F tier. If that's not him, sorry. Then I'll put in don't remember. But I think that's him, so top of F tier. Looks like one of the saviors to me. Milton. I like Milton a lot, and I think that everything he did towards the end, building up to his death, was really, really good. And not turning a blind eye to Governor, standing up to him, killing the biters that they were going to use on those people, especially with Andrea, was great. And I really liked him a lot, actually. I'm going to put him in the B tier. I like Milton. I think this is the chick from Oceanside. Like the grandma leader lady from Oceanside. F tier. If that's who that is, F tier. This guy, I don't even remember his name, but he was one of the Alexandrians. Really quick to get on board and help out Rick, and I like that a lot about him. So we're going to put him in the C tier. And then he died, and he actually had a relationship with Carol for a while, and I thought that was really nice, and really good guy, really great character. Not great character, but just a nice, good old character, right? C tier. Axel, just like his friend here, drop him in the C tier, one of the prisoners. Hate that they killed him off so quickly. We're going to put him in the C tier there, though. Ezekiel. This one, I don't know, because some people really hate the whole king thing, and they're like, no, the show should be serious, but I kind of like it, kind of hate it sometimes. So I'm going to put him at the bottom of A tier there. I do like Ezekiel a lot, but I like the moments, especially when he like drops the whole act and just a person. He is a really cool character, though. I do like him a lot. T-Dog. Justice for T-Dog. Oh, my God. So, T-Dog was around in the first 3 seasons and then died saving Carol. I really liked him while he was around. I'm going to put him at the bottom of B tier. I wish he could have been around for longer. Hated his death, but I liked everything he did while he was still there, part of the group. And people forget him, and it makes me sad. This was Henry's older brother. I think he was killed by the Saviors. C tier, I guess. Carl. Carl's hard to rank because, of course, in the earlier seasons, annoying little kid, but he became a really likable, really great character by the end by his death, and I hated his death. What a mistake his death was, honestly. Probably the biggest mistake of the show is his death. Like, why? Why are you doing that? But was really impactful. Chandler Riggs really grew into become a pretty great actor, and I really don't know where to rank him. Because by the end, one of my favorites. He could have been the future of the show, honestly. He could have just led the show, but they killed him. And in the beginning, of course, annoying kid gets Dale killed. Wish I talked a bit more about that, but I grew to really like Carl. So I'm going to put him the top of A tier. His earlier seasons hold him back. He had so much potential. He was reaching there, and then they killed him. So he's going to be stuck in the A tier. Could have been an S tier, though. Could have been an S tier. Dr. Jenner at the CDC. So in the very early in the show, in the season 1, they go to the CDC, and he's there, and he tells them, there is no cure, blah, blah, blah. Made a huge impact on the show, didn't he? I'm gonna put it in the C tier though, because only around like 2 episodes, just a plot device, right? But I did like him. Like I I thought he was a really cool character while he was around, but I just liked everything about him. Something about him. But C tier. Abraham. Oh, this one's hard. So he shows up. Oh my god, one of the funniest characters in the entire show. Um, him dealing with whenever he finds out that Eugene was lying, him dealing with that and having to come back from that and find a purpose again was really interesting. I really loved Abraham, and his death sucked so bad. I hate one of the saddest deaths of the series, along with Glenn and Herschel. Abraham's great. I love Abraham. I'm gonna drop him in the S tier. Uh, if he would have been around for longer, it would have been S plus. I think he was a great character. Always, provided something for the group, which is always important to me. Like, was he useful? Yes, extremely. Um, Great character. Sasha, eh, C tier. Top of C tier. She deserves top of C tier. I did like her while she was around. I hated her death. It was kind of like, okay, but I really don't know how to feel about Sasha, so just C tier, I guess. Nicholas, the actual worst character in the show. So, he gets everybody hates Chris killed, and then Glenn stupidly tries to redeem him, but then he screws up and just kills himself, and he's dead. Bottom of F tier. Nothing more to say. Alpha's been a really interesting character, a really great developed character, and one that was really we're kind of scared of in a really good way. And I'm gonna put her at the top of B tier. She wasn't around for too long, but did make a really big impact and one of the better villains of the show. So top of B tier. Alpha's a great character, and what a despicable, horrible human being, right? Just the worst, uh, but in a good way. Her, she babysitted Judas sometimes, and Alexandria. F tier. I mean, I can't put her. I don't know. Aaron. Oh, one of my personal favorites. I have loved him from the very beginning. I love the actor. Which fun fact, he actually plays the Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame because they couldn't get Hugo Weaving back, so he does impersonations. He's a master impersonator or whatever, but he's a great actor. I love the character a lot. Has always been really likable, really relatable, really interesting, and really formidable. And I just love everything about him. So S tier for me with Aaron. Gregory, complete scumbag. F. Jim was around for like, a couple episodes, then he died. Bottom of D. This guy, I think he showed up with Tyrese. Like, I think he was like, I think that's who this is. I think he showed up in Tyrese's and Sasha's original group with that other guy, and then died. I think. Wait, no, that's Randy, isn't it? That's the kid in the that Shane and Rick capture and put in the in the farmhouse in season 2. That's right. Then the debate over what to do with him and if they're gonna kill him or not, and all that stuff. And because Rick saves him, yeah, that's Randy. Yes, still F tier. Still F tier. Tyrese. I really liked Tyrese a lot, honestly, a lot more than I like Sasha. So I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B tier. A lot of people hate his death episode. I love his death episode. I thought it was a great episode. I like Tyrese a lot. I wish he did more. Wish he was around for more. And if he was, he would have been reaching A tier. But I like Tyrese. Eugene. What a annoying piece of garbage. But constantly redeems himself, then screws up, then redeems himself, then screws up, making it really interesting to see what he's gonna do. Kind of a weirdo. B, I guess. Made a big impact on the show, so B. Joe. What a great villain. Only around for a couple episodes, but what a great villain. Getting to see Rick rip his neck out was great. I'm going to put him in the B tier just for being a great villain. Just for that. Just for being a good villain, I'll put him in the B tier. Alright, then we got Jackie. She was around in the first season. Was there and then decided to stay in the CDC and die. F tier. Dummy. Beth. Beth was not a character until they killed her, which really holds her back from being any higher than the bottom of C tier. Um, if she, I liked Beth whenever they made her a character. I really liked her actually, and was excited to see what they would do with her. And then she died. So okay, C tier, I guess. This guy, I think that this is the drunk doctor who beats his wife in Alexandria. F tier. I think that's who that is. This chick fell in love with the governor, had a daughter, died. F tier. Cool actress though. She's an Arrow. Bob. Bob wasn't around for very long, but I did like him. I think he made a pretty good impact. I'm gonna put him at the bottom of B tier. And Trash Lady. People really hate her, and I don't think I hate her as much as other people hate her, but people really hate her. Um, I think after all the trash people die, then I think she actually becomes an interesting character that I like a lot. But before that, one of the worst, right? She saves Rick in the end, so who knows what they're gonna do with that in the movie. So I'll put her at the bottom of D tier though. Uh, yeah, whatever. All right, so that's a lot of characters. That's every character in The Walking Dead ranked. I'm I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think S plus is a pretty good S plus. I mean Herschel, you got Rick, of course. Rick, Glenn, Herschel, Michonne, Darrall. I don't know who else deserves in the S plus. I think I'm gonna move Maggie up to the S tier. I think she deserves to be in the S tier. And Carl, actually. I think Carl deserves S tier as well, just by the end. But I don't know who else. Sorry, little interruption. I don't see who else deserves to go in the S plus tier. I think that's a pretty good ranking. I think I'm pretty okay with that. So that is my ranking. Thankfully, nobody in the don't even remember. Some characters I'm not sure who they were, but I would think it's okay. No one in the don't even remember, which I'm pretty proud of. So that's my ranking of The Walking Dead. I think that's a pretty solid ranking. I don't know what I would disagree with or what I'd change. Maybe as it goes on, it'll change. I hope it does. I wish all characters were S plus, but for now, this will have to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay creative.